case, we did discuss about how we have to design the integrated marketing channel in the last class, if you recall. So we would be talking about some of the elements of the intermediaries in this session. In one of the sessions, we'd be talking about this, and then we'd be going down to the communication part of it. So let us look into what exactly is retailing all about. Retailing per se, if you just happen to be looking at this slide, you would be trying to read out that retailing is one of the important activities which exactly is the last mile connect, which basically brings you the goods and services directly to the consumer per se. So effectively, if you look at the slide, you would be in a position to understand that all goods, that is our services, which are directly or finally associated with customers for their personal or non-business use via selling, has to happen through something which is called as retailing. Also, any business enterprise whose sales volume comes primarily from retailing is all about the retail store. Now, we've got different type of retailers. So there are certain non-store retailers, and there are certain retail organizations which exactly are there. We also have different type of store retailers, especially when we talk about specialty stores, department stores, supermarkets, convenience stores. We have got drug stores, we have discount stores, extreme value or hard discount stores, off-price retailers, superstores, and catalog showrooms. So these are some of the ways how store retailers can be categorized. Now, looking into what exactly each of these are, we can just try to understand that in the Indian scenario, retailing has really changed the world. We had earlier something, retailing has been there, organized and unorganized retailing has been there. Like for example, if you remember, we had something called the Kirana stores, something that exactly you all were very familiar since your childhood, where we had these friendly neighborhood shopkeepers who would be selling different products, goods and services. And then technically we migrated from that to an organized retailing. That happened post-liberalization, where we had multi-brand retail outlets which exactly came into picture well in the last 10 years. And then we had something called the supermarkets and the malls, which exactly has multi-store retailing, also has come in a big way. So effectively, this revolution from unorganized retailing to organized retailing is some sort of a story that we have covered over a period of time, and that exactly is here to stay. So effectively, when we're talking about these brick and mortar stores, they basically are categorized into these different categories of retailers which exactly have been there. So yes, of course, there are certain type of stores which can be called as retail, these specialty stores. These specialty stores are something which exactly are there, and effectively, if you look at the different type of specialty stores, I would be doing a small amount of caselet at this point of time. This will give you an idea about the Indian retailing scenario. Now, I'm talking about something which is called as the Infinity Retail Limited. This is a subsidiary of Tata Sons. This entered the consumer electronics, durables, retailing segment with a chain of shops under the brand name Chroma in 2006. Now, are you able to see the presentation? I believe you're
No, sir.
No, sir. It is not visible.
The presentation is not visible. Okay, I'll
Now
just.
it is.
Is it visible, please?
So visible.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So please focus on the case study. I'm talking about Chroma stores, which exactly was one of the subsidiary of Tata Sons Infinity Retail Limited. At the time when the traditional retailers were struggling to cope with changing consumer preference and increased market complexities, thanks to a wide range of product categories, brands, and models, the change in consumer preference stemmed from a wide range of options, from low-priced basic model to high-priced sophisticated models available, facilitated by a reduction on excise duty in the wake of 2008 global economic meltdown. Consumers began to seek more and then mere options when shopping for electronics. They sought a superior shopping experience. The Chroma philosophy of "we help you buy" was in tune with the consumer expectation. With about 73 retail outlets in the metros and major cities, each flagship store offered something like 10,000 to 20,000 square feet space or shopping space with planned layout and design, which made shopping for consumer electronic durables a pleasurable experience. The salespeople designated at the sales as sales advisors are well trained and product knowledge and are capable on guiding buyers in making their informed choices. An important skill from consumers' perspective, since technology is complex and variety causes choice dilemmas. With about 6,000 products across 8 categories, Chroma is the first large format consumer of electronics durable retailer with a pan-India presence. So technically, you see, this exactly is how this context of store retailing has revolutionized, and you have got multi-players coming up with different categories of retail outlets for different type of consumers. Now, there are different type of levels of services that exactly are there for store retailers. They can be self-service, that is, you can take service all by yourself. Then you can also go for something which example self-service, that is exactly self-selection, that is you can select the goods on your own. Also, you could be looking at limited type of services, that is the services which exactly are very limited, and then full service. Now, self-service is a cornerstone of all discount operations. Many customers are willing to carry on their own locate, compare, and select process to save money. For self-service, basically customers would try to go and find out certain products which exactly they would try to locate. Then they would try to compare with other products. And then they, on the basis of the comparison, after they have located their product, they would make the selection. So this basically forms the philosophy for self-service type of store retailers. But then the second type, which is actually called a self-selection, customers find their own goods, although they can ask for assistance. So sometimes what happens is they would try to select their own goods, but they would like to ask somebody who's there in the shop for some sort of assistance to what they're looking for. So this is called as self-selection. Now this exactly is the difference between. So there has to be an in-shop presence of some service agent who would try to direct the customers to the required goods that the customers are actually looking for. So that's basically the difference between self-service and self-selection. Then we come down to the third category, which is called as limited service. Now, within the context of limited service, these retailers carry more shopping goods and services such as credit and merchandise return privileges. Customers need more information and assistance for these type of goods and services. So like for example, they definitely require somebody to answer to certain queries before they exactly are going to make a purchase. So they would like to have some sort of a limited sort of a service even when they are trying to make their own selection. So they definitely need some sort of an advice or service in the context of queries to be answered towards making their choice or selection. That exactly calls for a limited service. Then there is something which is called the full service. Now here, salespeople are ready to assist in every phase of locate, compare, and select process. So the customers who would like to be weighted on the perfect type of stairs. Like for example, a high staffing cost is there, along with high proportion of select goods and slower moving items, and many services resulting in high cost retailing. So technically, the first one has low cost retailing or really no cost retailing, and the last one has high cost retailing. Now, for example, when you go to buy a pair of shoes in a retail outlet, so technically that would not be self-service, but that would require full service, where basically the salesperson would help you make a selection uh, and then try to give you a fitment. That is, it basically fits your foot, and you are comfortable with the goods, and you can even try to walk and try to see how the feel is about the product and how you experience the quality of association with the product. So that exactly is the levels of service that is exactly associated with these different type of retailers. Then we come to something which exactly is called as non-store retailing. So earlier we talked about some context of store retailing. Then we have some sort of a mechanism wherein there is something which is called the non-store retailing. Now, non-store retailing is basically all about direct marketing, direct selling, automatic vending, and buying services. Now, here basically this would mean more of a self-interaction involving the consumer and direct interaction by their services with their products per se. So these exactly are their different type of retailing which exactly is there in the play. That is, if you want to go to a vending machine and try to take a coffee all by yourself by putting a coin inside, now that exactly is sort of an automatic vending. So this exactly is also some sort of a mechanism where you can try to do some things on your own. Or there is a direct marketing where basically the goods are directly tried to reach out to the consumers, or there is a direct selling that exactly is executed, which exactly does not need a brick and mortar setup. Now we've got some sort of a element in the context of corporate retailing and franchising also there. Now there are certain type of corporate retail channels, like for example, we've got corporate retail stores, like 2 or more outlets which are owned and controlled and employed, being central and buying the merchandise and selling similar to the line of merchandise. Like for example, you've got different type of brands like Gap is there, Pottery is there, Barn is there, Pottery Barn. These exactly are corporate retail stores. Now, corporate retail stores could also be some sort of retailers. Then there are certain type of voluntary chain, like a wholesale sponsored group of independent retailers engaged in bulk buying and common merchandising. Like for example, you have got these different contexts. Like for example, you've got Big Bazaar, or let's say, for example, you've got things which exactly are there in the Indian context, which could be the first one could be, you could be looking at an example of something called as Tanishq, could be an example of corporate retail store, or let's say, for example, the Body Shop. The voluntary chain could also be one aspect of a supermarket. And then you've got retailer cooperative, independent retailer, multi-store retailers could be there. Like for example, you've got these different type of malls which exactly are there. Independent retailers, central buying organization with a joint promotion effort. Like for example, you have got the retail, there are many multiplexes also there associated with the retailers, which exactly are retail cooperatives. They've got multiple options which exactly are there. Then there is something which is called as consumer cooperative, a retail firm which is owned by its customers. Members contribute money to open their own store. Now there are retail cooperative stores which exactly are there, where different institutions, they set up their cooperative stores for their retailers, and they try to put all their local cooperatives like grocery, etc., can be found in the market. Then there are franchise stores, like for example, you have got the UPS store, the Dunkin' Donuts, Marriott, HR Block, and so on and so forth, which are number of products and services areas is what they actually try to offer. They technically they're contractual association between franchisor and the franchisee, which basically provides them some sort of a license to sell their brands and products. Then there is something which is called the merchandisers agglomerate or conglomerate. This has diversified retailing, multi-brand retailing happens. A federated departmental store retained all by itself. JC Penney is there, or you have got the $1 shop or things like that, where basically customers, these are basically large superstores where they own other retailers, which could be integrating and distributing the different goods and has their own management. Also, you've got the federated department store renaming itself as one of its. Sometimes they also take their own brands, also, which exactly like for example, they could also be keeping multiple goods as well as their own brands. Like for example, you've got Pantaloons out here, which is a apparel merchandising. It's again on a franchise organization, which exactly a merchandising conglomerate as well, because they're keeping their own brands as well as other brands of merchandise, that is fashion accessories and apparel accessories as well. So these are something which exactly are the type of retailers within the context of corporate retailing and franchising, which exactly comes into play. So franchises are distinguished by three types of franchise characteristics. There is something called as, now you can, I think, best understand it. What is exactly the like a franchisor and what's exactly a franchisee? So it's something like an employer and an employee. So like an employer who basically employs an employee, a franchisor actually owns the trademark and license it to the franchisee for a return of royalty payment. So a franchisee takes the license from the franchisor to use to sell its brand and pays a license fee and has to sell and maintain the quality of the services as per the requirements of the franchisor. Now, franchisor provides this franchising with a system of doing the business. That is how the business must be done is detailed by the franchisor, and the franchisee has to follow the terms and conditions because the value of the brand depends on the service that is provided by the franchisee to the general consumers. And there is a license fee and also a term which exactly is there, and all the other elements of the visual and the non-visual elements of the brand are controlled on the context of the quality standards set by the franchisor for the franchisee to adhere to. And there's a association, there's a contractual association between the franchisor and the franchisee, where the franchisee pays a fee to use the brand image or the brand name or the brand of the franchisor. So many of you have done these different type of franchisor and franchisee retailing, wherein you have talked about the franchising brands in your projects, and so you could be having a clear-cut idea as to what exactly this is in the context of modern retailing marketing. So we basically would be looking at the modern retailing. The competitive retail market structure is that new retail forms are there. The growth of giant retailers are there, where we've got multi-billion dollar malls, which exactly are giant retail outlets, where you've got multi-brand retailings, which exactly is the new context. We've got hypermarts, the supermarts, the mega marts, or shopping, 10 or 20 floors of shopping under one roof. So effectively, these basically are the competitive retail market structure that has emerged in the latest context. So emergence of fast retailing, people have a dearth of time, and so it has become not, retailing has created not only shopping, but it has come up with a new term which is called as shoppertainment. That is entertainment while you shop. So there are multiple options of a retail outlet, and in fact today going for retailing is also sort of a therapy. Like retail therapy is there, where people like to really go and enjoy shopping, and then they have more activities to perform not only for themselves just to pick up goods, but rather take their families an outing. You can have multiplexes, you've got food courts, and you've got so many different gaming arena. You've got relaxation spas, and you basically are enthralled with the different type of products and service experience in the context of shoppers. And the context of decline of middle market retailers. So technically, the consumer and his reaction with the goods and services are the context of the new retail environment, where basically retailing is a new area which exactly has emerged. And now we are going to look into some of the important aspects of the modern retail marketing environment. So technology has come into a big way to assist shoppers while they shop. So even you can see sometimes the shopping cart has this sort of a screen where basically you punch in the different type of products you intend to buy, and then it will guide you to the different aisles to where which product is located, and it would select the path on the basis of the quickest amount of path that should be taken care of, and it will try to tell you how to go down to the different. So you need not to ask anything, and everything that you want to ask, the silent shopper is going to assist you while shopping. So retailers use technology for business. Then there is the use of these different coding devices, the MICR and these barcodes, which exactly are going to be tracking the different type of goods, so that you can just scan it, and they would tell you everything about the goods. And sometimes there are also these speakers which are there on the top of these shopping carts, where basically they talk about, they visually present the features of the goods, or you can ask and they would tell you a reply to the different quality of the goods. So these are towards improving the business technology for business operation to enhance the consumer shopping experience inside the store and internet, and also on the social media. So coming back to some of the marketing decisions that need to be taken in the context of this P, that is, we would be doing some sort of target marketing. Then there are channels, product assortment. I've already talked about the product mix in our earlier class, the procurement, prices, services, the store atmosphere, which is a very important aspect, which is called as atmospherics. Store activities and experience. What are the different types of activities that the consumer performs during the store? The communication that happens with the different type of salespeople, or the visual communication that is there with the different type of signages and the signs, and the location of the store plays a very important marketing decision towards this P of marketing, that is the place dimension of marketing. So coming down to something which exactly is called as the product assortment. That is, how do we keep the different type of products? What are the different type of products? So there are different type of exclusive national brands. Then there are private label merchandise, like for example, if you go to different type of shopping outlets, there are certain type of private label brands. Like you can even go to showroom, and you can find that you've got some sort of a private label which exactly has been created, like Pantaloons has created their own label, or probably you will find that there are certain distinctive merchandise events which exactly are categorized for the different type of promotion and consumer, making consumers aware about the goods and services for the different type of brands which exactly are available. Then the features are ever-changing merchandise, that is merchandises which has ever-changing features which exactly have been incorporated. Then latest merchandise first. So whatever is the latest merchandise that comes in a retail outlet, that exactly is put on the display first because of the latest, and it has a time value as which exactly is taken into account. Then they offer merchandising, customizing services. That is, what exactly is the merchandise which exactly is the best fit for the consumers, helping them choose, and offer a highly targeted assortment of merchandising. Now, they also comes with different type of services. So retailers must decide on service mix to offer to the consumers, that is pre-purchase services. Like for example, there are certain things, even when you go to a retail outlet, even before you make, if you reach there, the very type of an experience that you get exactly at the parking lot, that is when you park your car, that talks about, then you try to go to the different type of elevators to the different levels, or as you enter into the retail shop, the type of experience that you have. These exactly are a level of pre-purchase services which exactly is offered by the retailing outlets. Then there is post-purchase service. Whether you are satisfied with the services, what exactly is the feedback? Are you really? What exactly is the time taken to make a purchase? The payment services is, the goods delivery is. All these things exactly count for post-purchase services. And then there are certain type of ancillary services. Like, let's say, for example, if you need to be trained, or if you need to be given some sort of a demo, or the goods have to be actually installed, or some sort of a service warranty requiring by your product. All these are ancillary services which exactly are also provided by the retailers. So they must decide on the service mix to offer to the consumers per se for making the important aspect. Now here basically we would be talking about setting up of a retail unit, where exactly. So this matches with the P, that is the place dimension. That is how exactly the place plays an important aspect. We've got these different aspects which would be dealt in detail. That is, what is a CBD? That is a centralized business district, the regional shopping centers, community shopping centers, the shopping strips, location within a large store, that is within a supermart or a hypermart, or standalone stores which exactly are like your mom and pop stores which are there in your neighborhoods. So the location of these stores also help in towards deciding the retail outlets which exactly is there. I was talking about private labels. A private label brand is a brand that the retailers and the wholesalers, they develop. The role of private labels and the private label success factors. This is also very important. Like, for example, you are coming up with some sort of a product which exactly has been developed by the retailer themselves. So the retailer would be sourcing the goods from many sources and be creating an own brand. So you know that this product has been bought by this Big Bazaar. So Big Bazaar has created its own brand name for different type of goods and services, which could be manufactured by them or it could be sourced from them, and it's a brand which has been created by them, and their shopping outlet could be one of the reasons which exactly is impinged its image on the goods that's exactly being sold, and it's called a private label. Then we come to something which is called as wholesaling. Now, wholesaling includes all activities in selling goods or services to those who buy for resale or business use. So technically, this is what exactly, this is the first level of retail outlet. That is exactly from the producer, the wholesaler buys the goods in bulk and distributes it to the other resellers. Now, there are some of the wholesaling types. We had already discussed about the retailing types. Now towards wholesaling, we have got merchant wholesaler, full service wholesaler, limited wholesaler, brokers and agent, manufacturer service wholesalers, and also specialized wholesalers. These are also called as, in the Indian context, C&F agents, that is carrying and forwarding agents, which exactly are there. So let us look at some of the wholesaling functions. So sometimes wholesalers, they even get down to selling and promoting goods. They also end up buying, assortment building, bulk breaking, warehousing, transporting, financing. They sometimes bear the risk because they are moving the inventory. They also carry the information back from the market to the producer as to what is the requirement of the market. And they also provide different type of financial services or management services, or like, for example, installation services, or different type of counseling or management counseling, which exactly is required for the different type of utility of the goods, also are provided by wholesalers. Towards logistics, we've got something which is called as supply chain management. There's a different section, the specialization, which you'd be basically taking this as a paper, a specialized paper in your final semester, which will be talking about the supply chain market. It is all about market logistics, about the movement of the goods from point A to point B. Also, some of the important aspects of the place function of marketing management. Marketing logistics, integrated logistics system, ILS, which exactly uses information technology for streamlining the flow of goods and value, and also lean manufacturing. These are some of the different type of marketing logistic functions which exactly is performed by the P of marketing. Now, market logistic planning. Now, deciding on the company's value proposition, selecting the best channel design and network strategy, developing operational excellence, and implementing solutions. These basically are some of the different functions of market logistic planning and towards finally implementing the solution. This exactly plays on how exactly market logistic planning is done, and that exactly is on the basis of different market logistic decisions. That is, some of the important market logistic decisions involve order processing. How should we handle orders? That is because if the consumer is not provided with the goods at the retail outlet, he is going to feel cheated because his time and effort is going to be wasted because he's come here with money to purchase goods, and for that order processing must be streamlined so that the goods are available in the retail outlet. Then warehousing. How should we locate our stock so that there is no losses, there is no pilferage, and the quality of the goods remains the same, so that the goods are in the same shape as it is promised to the consumer and they don't lose its value. Then how much stock should we hold? If you hold too much amount of inventory, unnecessarily cost in holding goods will increase. But if we hold too less of an inventory, there will be a lockout sort of a situation that will happen. Then we would be talking also about the transportation. How should we ship the goods? How the goods have to be actually shipped? There are certain goods which require refrigerated transportation. There are certain goods which are very high value goods and require safe transportation. And there are certain goods which require regular transportation just in time in order to match with the inventory of the stock that we want to maintain. Then towards transportation, we have got something called as containerization. The containerization would be called as piggyback, fishback, train ship, and air truck sort of containerization, which exactly is incorporated for movement of goods and services to the. So this is also incorporated with the movement of the goods for the place dimension. And then we've got private versus contract and common carriers, like for example the railways or the air shipment, or let's say for example the roadways. All these basically form the private versus contract versus common carriers, which exactly are incorporated for selling the goods to the, taking the goods to the final place that is called the retail outlet for consumers to buy from. So this basically covers the aspect of the retailing aspect, and this is exactly how we would be looking into something which exactly is called as retailing, that is associated with the place perspective. So with this, we look into this dimension, and we've covered this dimension, that is managing retailing, wholesaling, and logistics. So in short, we have covered in the context of place the third P of marketing channel. This basically talks about designing and managing the integrated marketing channels, as well as what exactly are the context of retailing. Retailing, I remember we used to take it as retail management was one of the specialization papers which I used to offer once upon a time. But since the value of retailing has changed from brick and mortar to electronic retailing, so we have migrated from retail marketing as a paper, and I have taken up this digital marketing. So we are taking this paper, this digital marketing, which exactly incorporates both the aspect of electronic retailing and electronic communication. For
The slide is not visible.
yes, Razeen, anything to add?
The slide is not visible.
No. I have switched off the slide. Basically, we have finished with this small section on. Thank you for bringing that to my notice, Razeen. We have closed the slide for now because I want to basically sum up the aspect of this aspect of retailing, wholesaling, logistics, as well as managing the designing the integrated marketing channels so that the goods actually reach out to the end consumer. So this is in the context. Then we've got digital retailing, electronic retailing, social media retailing, Facebook marketing. All these things are the new formats which exactly have emerged, and they would be taken as specialization papers, especially in the final year of marketing students. So there would be more of an interest of students who basically opt for marketing per se. But for now, especially everybody would be interested in understanding the context of marketing per se, and that exactly within marketing we have the third element of marketing, which is called a place. So all of you need to know something about place, and so you need to have a generalistic overview about the this P of marketing that is associated with place or the location. So how exactly, what is retailing, what is wholesaling, what is logistics management, what is supply chain management, what is integrated logistics systems, or how retailing is done, what are the different formats of retailing, what is wholesaling, and how exactly integrated marketing channels have to be designed, how exactly are there. So that also needs to be incorporated at this point of time. So with that, we come to an end of this P of marketing, and then we're going to take a very small break, probably another couple of minutes for, we can call it as a water break, probably drink a couple of glasses of water to continue, and we'll have a small break, and then we will start with another session. And this session would be talking about the last P of marketing that is associated with, and one of the most interesting ones, that exactly is all about communication. Now, communication you must be learning in your other class, that is concepts of marketing, and must be talking about communication. But here we're going to be talking about marketing communication. We will be talking about something which is the most vibrant aspect of marketing. This is all about how marketing strategies are actually communicated to the end consumer. And we will be talking about some very interesting case studies over here, which will be talking about the advertising, the promotion, mass communication, personal communication, and so on over here. And India has a very rich amount of information in the context. So any sort of people who want to go into advertising or brand management would be using this as an important element to decide. So you can, from marketing, you can migrate to multiple areas, any of the functional areas. You want to go into designing the entire workflow system of marketing. You could be looking at logistics. You can become a logistic manager. You could become a advertising manager. You could become a brand manager. You could become a new product development manager, or you could become a marketing executive, or you could become let's say product manager, or a new product research and development, or you could also be into research and development of marketing research. So these basically could be some of the different areas you could migrate into, specialized areas, in case you want to go into marketing as a career option after your MBA. But those of you who want to go to finance and operations and HR also will be interacting with different type of service marketing with over your period of association. So marketing is something which is very core, because this is something that brings into the money into any organization, and you at any point of time will be interacting with marketing so that exactly is the reason why learning about all aspects of marketing at a generalistic level happens to be the core idea for this sort of a paper, and that's exactly what the reason why this paper has been so designed. So let us take a quick 1 or 2 minute break. We will not be breaking off, because I would not be admitting new people at this point of time. We've got about 89, 88 of you who are connected as of now, 77 to be precise who are physically present. But I really would be having you on the call, that is about 88 of you. But I would not be entering fresh people at this point of time. So just give me a couple of seconds of break, but I think we would be online so that we can just continue and do not try to break off, because we will just be continuing in a couple of minutes, just a couple of minutes of break. So it's about 37 by the watch that's on your screen, 9:37. So we'll start at 9:40. Exactly at 9:40 we would just resume, because we got to cover this small section. We've lost some time yesterday. Otherwise, we would have been very comfortable. But then again, you'd be getting two attendances for today as well. Okay, so that's about. Yes, Zubair, you wanted to ask some question. You raised a hand.
No, sir, that was by mistake.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Probably I thought you have a question or something of that sort. Okay, I need a voice confirmation. If you can see the slide.
No, sir,
Not yet.
not yet.
Okay. Thank you, Samnam Khan. I
Samnan
just
Khan, sir.
Samnan. Yes, I'm just trying to present the slide. I just don't know why. It's just taking some amount of time, I think, for the transition. Just give me a couple of minutes. I think the slide is some sort of a. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you see the presentation? I would like.
Yes, sir. Slide
Yes,
is
sir, we can
visible
see the presentation.
Okay, excellent. So let us get started about the role of marketing communication. What is marketing communication mix? How does marketing communication work? Major steps in developing effective communication, and how should communication mix be set and evaluated, and what is an integrated marketing communication program? So before we start with integrated marketing communication, let me take you to one very interesting caselet. Uh, if you recall the very famous Indian movie Three Idiots by Rajkumar Hirani, uh, Vinod Chopra production. I hope all of you must have seen this movie. I would just put this on your screen so that you can actually look into. Ahad had actually left the session. I'm surprised. I'll just. Hello. Actually, there's always a discontinuity that happens when people join in at a later time. But anyway, so Rajkumari Hirani's movie, that is Three Idiots. Hope I need a voice confirmation. You've seen this movie?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
I will be talking about
sir.
marketing communication from one small caselet that has been there about this movie, the promotion and marketing of Three Idiots. One of the biggest box office hits of 2009 in India is a lesson in integrated marketing communication. The communication effort for the movie can be better appreciated in the context of the release and popularity of Bollywood movies in rural areas. Although new releases from Bollywood are extremely popular among rural, small town, and I would say small town and semi-urban audience, these areas are dominated by regional cinema because of the late release of Bollywood movies. Now, the producers of Three Idiots noticed this gap and planned a promotional campaign targeting at rural and urban audience, semi-urban audience. Thus, interviews of key people associated with the movie was telecast on the regional channels. Most of these interviews were conducted by regional movie stars. For bigger cities, the concept of alternative reality gaming was used. A two-day game was launched where the players were requested to locate Amir Khan, the lead actor in the movie, who had gone missing. The winner would get a chance to dine with the actor. Sachin Tendulkar, the cricket icon, was roped in for the first clue of the game. A tie-up with Zapak.com, an online gaming portal, helped promote the game. An interactive website, www.idiotsacademy.com, was also designed to keep with the theme of the movie. Additional activities included the tie-ups, the Reliance Life Insurance for All Is Well insurance plans named after the popular song in the movie All Is Well, and the pantaloons for marketing of special Three Idiots shirts. Auto rickshaws bearing stickers which read capacity Three Idiots, and the iconic butt chair shown in the movie placed at multiplexes generated a high exposure interest among moviegoers. The integrated and innovative communication approach connected well with the audience, and the movie surpassed all the previous record collections by earning 31.5 billion rupees worldwide in just 19 days. Now, this is how basically integrated marketing communication works. That is, when you want to project the communication about the image of any sort of a product or a service that you want to sell, you use multiple channels in order to actually reach out to the consumer class. Now, Technically, coming back to the context of marketing communication, it is means the means by which firms attempt to inform, persuade, and remind consumers about products and brands that they are actually selling. So let us look at some of the marketing communication mix. Now, definitely, most of these you basically know because of their visibility and context. That is advertising. It's a paid form of non-personal presentation where basically goods, ideas, services, or by an identified sponsor is communicated and to the consumer at large. Then there is something which is called as sales promotion. This is a variety of short-term initiatives to encourage the trial or purchase of a product or a service, including consumer promotions, like for example, samples or coupons or premiums, trade promotions such as advertising and display allowances, and the business and sales force promotion, that is contest for sales representatives. Then there are events and experiences, like for example, sport events. You have got the IPL, which is being sponsored. Then you've got different type of company-sponsored activities and programs to create uh, daily or special brand-related interaction with consumers, including sports, art, entertainment. Then there is something which is called public relations and publicity. Now, here the use of mail, telephone, fax, email, or internet to communicate directly or solicit a response or dialogue from a specific customer or a prospect. That's so you must be associating yourself more with the context of public relations and publicity, which is happening about different goods and services that you are actually seeing. Then there is something which is called as online social media marketing, which exactly is the latest trend of using communication using the online channel, which exactly is there. Then there is mobile marketing, where is one-to-one market, many-to-one marketing, that is reaching out to you on your mobile phones and your electronic gadgets. Then there is direct and database marketing, where basically the context of the big data is currently being used from the different type of inputs which exactly are being assimilated. And then there is something which is called as personal selling, that is people coming to meet you personally to sell your goods and services. Now, coming down to the common communication platform. So you see, advertising uses print, broadcast ads. Then it can be at the different type of packaging, inserts or cinemas. These basically are where advertising is used. Sales promotion is used in context, games, sweepstakes, lotteries, premiums and gifts. Sometimes sampling also uses sales promotion, and fair trades and shows, fairs, the different type of exhibitions and trade shows also are using sales promotion. Then talking about the events and sports, I've already talked about sports, that is IPL. Entertainment also, there are certain brands which exactly are followed by certain type of movies, and they are followed, and certain type of promotions are done for different brands by different movies as well. So then there are different type of festivals which exactly are themed around certain type of events and experience, which also are there to photo, are showcasing the different type of brands, and also arts as well. Public relation, press kits, speeches, seminars, and annual reports. Online and social media. Now here you'll find different type of websites and micro sites, micro blogging sites, emails, search ads, and display ads, which exactly are banner ads, which exactly are using the online and social media marketing. Mobile marketing, of course, are using SMSs, text messages, online marketing messages, social media marketing applications, which exactly are there on your mobile phones. Direct and database are all about catalogs, mailing, telemarketing, and electronic shopping. TV shopping is also there, included in direct and database marketing. And personal selling is all about sales representatives which are coming to meet you. There are sales meetings, incentive programs, and samples. So these exactly are 8 types of communication platforms: advertising, sales promotion, events and experiences, public relations, online social media, mobile marketing, direct marketing, and personal selling. So how does marketing communication work? So we exactly would be looking at the communications process models, the macro model of communication process, and the micro model of communication response. So let us look exactly, you must have seen this sort of a communication uh, diagram in your communication class or in your concepts class, where basically the sender and the receiver, there are the two entities. They're both human beings, but in our case, sometimes the sender is electronic, non-human, or human, and the receiver mostly are the consumer. So effectively, the sender creates a message, it encodes a message, creates a codifies a message into a form, and uses the media to push the message, which exactly is a channel for the consumer to receive it. The consumer, which exactly is depicted in the blue color, which is the receiver, encodes, that is decodes the communication, that is the message which has been sent by the sender, and then it receives it. Now, then this is a noise. By the noise, it means the competitive channels which exactly are sending their messages also, and they are trying to distort this message and send some other. The objective of the sender is so that the message is so powerful that the noise does not affect it, and the receiver decodes it in the context that the sender wants it encoded. So the receiver, when he receives the message, he creates a response. The response can be favorable or non-favorable, and this response results in basically the feedback which comes back to the sender that the message was whether successful or whether it was non-successful. So this exactly is the general elements of the communication process which is followed. Now, towards our context of communication, especially in the context of marketing, that is integrated marketing, we basically use different stages. Now, these stages are, first is the cognitive stage. That is, we are aware about certain things. That is, our awareness is like triggered, then impacted our effectiveness. Our mindset is impacted and we are affected by the communication triggered our affection, and then that results in our action, that is called the behavior. So this has been given by a number of models which exactly are there. We have got the famous IDA model, that is attention, interest, desire, action. And then S is missing. S is satisfaction and R stands for response. So it's called as IDAS or IDAR. AIDS, AIDAR. So attention A, interest I, desire D, action. Attention, interest, desire, action, and then satisfaction or response, which exactly is the outcome of the behavior. Then you've got a similar type of model which is called the hierarchy of effect model, which has been given by social scientists on the basis of this context of a response hierarchy model. Awareness, knowledge, liking, preference, conviction, and purchase. Then an innovation adoption model, awareness, interest, somewhat similar to, it's a mix of IDA and hierarchy of effect model. Awareness, interest, evaluation. So the consumer evaluation, he does a trial and then adopts. Awareness to adoption. And then communication model, that is exposure, response, cognitive response, attitude and intention and behavior. Now you must remember that the first level of all the model is basically targeting the cognition state of the consumer. Then the second level is impacting the affective stage of the consumer, and the third is impacting the behavior stage of the consumer. Now at this point of time, I will be taking you to one very interesting story in the context of a case. I'll be discussing a small case. This is called as an ad which has been given. I would like to tell you that it is very difficult for me to admit people at this point of time, because you must understand that the session is on and people have been there for the last 1 hour, and it is very difficult to take a break from, because I do not have anybody else who's going to do this job for me. And then if I try to admit you, is basically not just, if you really cared, you should have been there on time. But let us look at this case study. Coming back to, interestingly, I will be talking about something which exactly is I will not be talking about the brand right now, but I will tell you about a story. This is called as the curse of the tantric. A long time ago, a tantric fell in love with a princess of Bhangad. Now, this, let me tell you, is a story which is in the form of a communication mix, and this has been used as highway legends, the curse of the tantric, and you'll be surprised to know what brand it is. I will ask you the brand later, but let me tell you the story. A long time ago, a tantric fell in love with the princess of Bhangad, and to seduce her, he enchanted her bathing oil. But the princess, also a practitioner of the occult, sensed the evil plan, and she threw the oil against a stone and made it come to life. The stone rolled towards the tantric and crushed him. But before he died, he cursed the whole kingdom. The tantric cursed the whole kingdom with death and possibility of rebirth. Centuries later, the Bhangad ruins remain eerily lifeless and desolate, rumored to be one of the most haunted places in India. Even locals fear venturing into the ruins before sunrise or after sunset, for they believe the trapped soul of the dead are still here, roaming and seeking redemption from the curse. Legend has it that anyone who enters Bhangad after dark never comes out. Bhangad, 80 kilometers from Alwar, National Highway 8 and National Highway 11A. Now, this has been, the story is all about Royal Enfield. So Royal Enfield ads are directed at people seeking thrill and adventure. So if you have a Royal Enfield, it means you can go 80 kilometers after the sun rises to the Bhangad fort and be there, and before night falls you can come back. And this is only for those who basically seek thrill and adventure and are adventure and thrill seekers, and Royal Enfield is your brand. So basically this was an advertisement or a communication which was created as Highway Legends, Curse of the Tantric, organized by Trip, and this basically was all about Royal Enfield's ad, which is exactly directed at people seeking thrill and adventure. So technically, this is called as a transformational appeal. A transformational appeal elaborates on a non-product related benefit. So there is no product related benefit for Enfield, but it is a non-product related benefit or its usage or image. It might depict what kind of person uses a brand. A Royal Enfield ads are directed at those who are seeking thrill and adventure, or what kind of experience results from the use of it. Let's say, for example, we've got another one, which exactly is called as Fiamma de Wills. Now, Fiamma de Wills is all about bathing soap and bathing bars. They are advertised as providing benefits of skin care, and Mentos is a mouth freshener as something that will electrify your mind. Now, this transformational appeal often attempts to stir up emotions that will motivate the purchase. Now, for example, there is a very interesting ad which says, smoking reduces weight. Then the tagline goes, one lungs at a time. So you see, it looks like I'm talking like I'm promoting smoking. So it says smoking reduces weight. And then in the bottom, it says Cancer Prevention Association has given this ad. Now, cancer prevention says smoking should not be done. So technically it says smoking reduces weight, and then it says one lungs at a time. That is, unfortunately, if somebody has lungs cancer, the lungs need to be cut off. And when you cut off this lungs, this reduces weight. So here, weight loss is not a good thing, but it is bad because it is removing your capacity to live life to the fullest, because you can't breathe fullest. Because if you're removing your lungs, half a lungs will give you half a breath. So technically you're challenged. You cannot do many different type of activities in your life. Your life is actually compromised. So this basically is how this exactly has been promoted by Cancer Patients Association. And this says cancer reduces your life. That exactly is how it says that don't smoke, because smoking induces cancer. So effectively, this exactly is how transformational appeal is used, and it impacts consumers by certain non-entities which exactly are resulting in making certain type of purchase or service experience. So effectively, what I wanted to tell you was the aspect of cognitive state, which is impacting the affective stage and affecting the behavioral stage per se, as is visible in this slide, which exactly is on your screens. So let us quickly look down at the micro model of consumer response. So with an ideal ad campaign, the right consumer is exposed to the message at the right time and place. The ad causes the consumer to pay attention. The ad reflects consumers' level of understanding of a brand, and the ad positions point of difference and point of parity, and the ad motivates consumer to consider purchase. Ad creates a strong brand association. So effectively, this exactly is how we remember certain brands via their ads, even in our day-to-day life. Even in our subconscious, these ads have created a sort of a impact into our cognitive level, that we remember products by the name of their ads. Like, for example, if you remember, there are certain brands which have become so synonymous with their products that today the products have been replaced by brand. I remember a product like, if I would talk about my product, I had a difficult time to tell people that the brand which exactly you are trying to put in your vehicle is not Mobil oil. Mobil was a brand. But basically what I want was, if you go to any sort of a petrol pump today, a retail outlet for your gas, for your vehicle, and in case you're using a two-stroke vehicle, you would need to add your engine oil. The technical term of the product is engine oil. But when you go to this retail outlets, you will say, the pump filler, the person who's exactly delivering the oil to your vehicle, he will say, Mobil kitna chahiye. Now, the idea is he understands Mobil, but technically it is engine oil. But Mobil is actually a brand. Now this, if you are looking at a technical term for this engine oil, this is not petrol. This is different from petrol. It's used for lubrication. You must remember. Now, technical term is 2T and 4T. 2T engine oil and 4T engine oil, multi-grade and monograde engine oil. If you go into further classification, and then if you'd like to go in for the octane number, so you got 20W40 multi-grade engine oil, monograde is 20W40, 40W50, and these basically are the different level of viscosity and the flash points which exactly are associated. I would not go into much detail, but technically remember that this engine oil has become Mobil. Yeah, for example, I will say a Colgate kiya kya. Now, they're not saying oral care, or they're not saying toothpaste, but they're saying oral cream is not what they're saying. They're saying Colgate kiya kya. Colgate has become so synonymous with brushing that it has replaced the word oral cream. So this exactly is the impact a brand can have on your cognitive level. And if it is reinforced again and again, it creates at the top of the mind slot, or called the eyeball share, And that is exactly why, you've got so many repeat ads which are coming in either television or any medium where exactly you are looking at any sort of a communication. So effectively, this exactly is what is the objective of an ideal campaign. Now, developing an effective communication, how exactly that is done? You first identify your target audience. You determine what exactly is the objective. How do you design the communication? What exactly is the channel you're going to use for select? I've talked about the marketing channels. Then you establish the budget. What exactly is going to be the budget? That is how many times you need to repeat this ad, because time costs. A space also costs on newspaper or in print media. Then deciding on the media mix, you're going to use advertisement, you're going to use tele ads, you're going to use mobile ads, you're going to use billboards. You got to talk about what exactly is the different type of media mix you're going to use. Then you're going to measure the results. That is the outcome of using the right media mix with the budget, selecting the channel, designing communication for the objective towards the target that you have identified. And after you have measured the result, you will manage integrated marketing communication. So how do you create an effective communication? So you identify the select audience. That's a very important aspect. You set the communication. That is, you establish the need for the category. You build brand awareness. You build a brand attitude, and you influence the brand purchase intention. So these are the 4 objectives that you need to set towards communication objectives. That is, you establish the need category. What is the need category? Which is the category that's the need for this sort of a product? Then you build the brand awareness. That is, how do you create the awareness for the brand? How do you build the brand attitude? How do you influence the brand purchase intention? And that basically results in designing the communicator. That is message strategy, creative strategy, and message. We would be discussing more about these important aspects as the creative strategy. That is, whether this sort of an appeal is a one-sided argument or a two-sided argument. That is called the informational appeal. And then there's also called the transformational appeal, which means that is negative fear versus positive fear. So effectively, you got to basically be looking at whether you want to go for an informational appeal or whether you want to go for a transformational appeal. That is, you want to use, like for example, if you have seen that ad of insurance policy, basically it is trying to convert the negative fear into a positive appeal for selling information, that is insurance, because nobody wants to buy information. Then we have coming down to something which is called the message source. The message are delivered by attractive or popular sources that can have a higher attention and belief. Now here you see we've got two communicators. They basically this is an ad for Weight Watchers. So the person on the left, she basically is heavyweight, and the person on the right is not heavyweight. She has reduced weight. So believe, because it works. Now this is basically all about an advertisement for Weight Watchers, where basically they've said that this is because they feel that people who are heavy set, they feel that they cannot reduce. So they do not believe that it is going to work, but then Weight Watchers makes it believe, because believe it works. So she has reduced down, and this basically is the communication which exactly is trying to create a creative strategy. So technically, when we try to develop an effective communication, we first of all select a channel. So we want to select a personal channel or a non-personal channel is the first objective that we want to actually achieve. Now, when we are going to talk about this context, I shall be taking you to another important a small ad spot. This is about Axe spoof. Now, faking news, a spoof website published on the article of 2009 announced that an Axe user found it to be ineffective in attracting girls, which promoted him to sue Axe. The article was mistaken as a genuine news report and in turn carried a genuine news by a various newspapers, website in India and abroad. This created considerable social media attention and publicity, which further helped the brand. So sometimes what happens is there are certain things which are fake, which basically what happens is picked up as news, and that is replicated in the marketing and becomes very sensational because when news starts carrying the story, and then it becomes into actually doing its objective, that it wants to sensitize the information, and the information reach has been achieved. So sometimes, there are certain type of stories which are generally false, which are put on the channel knowingly, so that people unknowingly start talking about it, news channels start talking about it, and it becomes a huge high and a cry. Now, many a times what happens is, like for example, when these movies are released, you must have seen that there are so many times there's sort of controversies that are created about certain movies which exactly are being released. There is a sort of a case which exactly happens, and then people start knowing about it. So technically, many times what happens is people are knowingly trying to do all these type of different activities, so that it creates a huge amount of news, hue and cry, and they reach publicity much larger without making an investment to reach to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and everybody starts talking about it. So what is this all about? Probably it has something to do with our sentiments. Could be something sort of religious sentiments or emotional sentiments or national sentiments, which exactly are put into the hype, and the news media also tries to create some sort of a story out of it, and this story reaches each and everybody, and so it has done its job of creating mass communication, and then people are all searching on the Google or the different sources, what is this movie all about? So effectively, this is one strategy of trying to promote without actually trying to do it using the channels, but using another sort of inadvertently or tangentially trying to bypass the system using an non-personal channel for communication many a times. Now, establishing the market budget. Basically, this basically has a set pattern. That is, there are basically 4 methods. One is called the affordable method, percentage of sales method. That is how much amount of sales we are going to actually achieve. What is the competitive parity? How much our competitors are investing, and what is the objective that we want to achieve, and what are the tasks that we want to perform. So looking at this, let's say, for example, the objective and task method I will be discussing. We establish the share, that is the market share, and how much amount of market share we want to actually achieve. What is the percentage of market share which is reached by the advertisement? Estimate the percentage of prospects that should try the brand, calculate ad impressions at 1% trial rate, find the gross rating which is to be purchased, and calculate the budget for the cost rating point. So on the basis of this objective and task method, this is just a hypothetical one. We decide on which type of a budget that we want to actually select. Now, selecting the marketing communication mix, this is all about whether we want to use advertising, sales promotion, events and experience, public relations and publicity, because different type of communication require different type of communication mix. So like for example, you cannot sell Eureka Ford's this vacuum cleaner by advertising. Technically, you need to use a sales force so that person actually uses the product and there is believability that is built up. Or like, let's say, for example, you cannot say something like, for example, mobile marketing is something where you want to use certain products for mobile marketing. You cannot do it by sales promotion, because it has to have a wider reach individually to every consumer on their own personal time, so that they exactly are engrossed with the communication which exactly is sold. Because sales promotion will clear a lot of noise, and this noise has to be minimized. So mobile marketing would be this. Online and social media marketing is where people actually need to be communicating with their peers in order to make a decision on the basis of discussion, with deciding what exactly is the communication they have to actually arrive at, and the decision they have to take. So effectively, every communication for different type of products and services uses the right type of a marketing communication mix. If you use the wrong mix for the wrong product, then it's going to be a disaster. So, basically, we would be looking at some of the communication mix characteristics. Like advertising, it's all about pervasiveness, amplified expressiveness, and control. So these are exactly some of the characteristics of advertising. But for sales promotion, agility, ability for getting attention, incentive and invitation is all about sales promotion. Then events and experience. This is all about relevance, engaging, and it is very implicit. Like for example, an IPL match, a cricket match, it is very engaging, it is very implicit and very relevant. So you want to see who exactly is associated with your sporting interest and exactly which company is actually sponsoring this entire program. Public relations is all about high credibility, ability to reach and find buyers, and it's all about dramatization. Then online and social media is all about rich, interactive, up-to-date information. Mobile marketing is all about timely, influential, and pervasive. Direct and database marketing is all about personal, proactive, and complementary, while personal selling is all about customized, relationship-oriented, and response-oriented. So how do we set up the target marketing communication mix? So the first step to do is decide on what is the consumer and the business market is. Towards the aspect of advertising, sales promotion versus person selling, which exactly has to be used. This is in the context of the product market. Then product life cycle stage. What is the life cycle stage in which the product is right now? Whether the consumer is ready, aware about it, or you have to make awareness also. So if you have to make consumers aware, then advertising and publicity is the most important thing to do. Sales promotion will not be very successful, and personal selling also is not successful at the level of awareness. But when you want to come to the next level, that is after the consumer is already aware and wants to comprehend, then also advertising is very important. Sales promotion is next, and equally is sales promotion, personal selling. But when you want to convince the consumer that the consumer is aware, he has been knowing about the product, he has been reaching the cognitive state, and you want to convince him to buy. So when you want to challenge on his conviction, then advertising is not going to work, but rather sales promotion is going to work and personal selling. So because you need to have a person to handle all the queries that are there faced by the person in terms of his anxiety for deciding whether to go for this product or go for something else. So here personal selling plays a very important role. Then when you come to taking the order, again, advertising is not going to work, but rather two things are going to work. What is sales promotion and order? Because the consumer wants to maximize on the discount and the offers which is going to get for the, so you want to have the best value for money. So for that, sales promotion is where a two-way interaction can be possible. And also with the personal selling, that is with a personal salesperson, you can actually interact and get the best deal. So when order is being executed by the consumer, at that level, personal selling plays a very vital role. And then when it comes to reordering, that is when you want to have a loyal customer, that is the customer coming back to you again, a customer who has already purchased once with you, there basically your relationship, customer relationship management in terms of sales promotion and personal selling play more important role than advertising. So you see, advertising will not always be equal at all stages of a consumer deciding to make a purchase decision, but rather it is very important in awareness and comprehension level. But at the level of actual sales happening and the reordering happening, sales promotion and personal communication comes in. So you have to use the right mix at the different life stage of the product. That is the consumer life cycle stage. That is at the which stage of the buying process the consumer is with the product. Now, measuring communication result. So if, let's say, for example, there's a brand for total market is 100% for both brand A and brand B. Now, it's very interesting. Let's say 80% of them are aware about brand A and 20% are not aware. Of this 80%, only 60% tried. So you see, the figure 60% is only who have tried is from the aware people only. And out of this, only 20% is satisfied. So this is the figure, and 80% are not satisfied. So you see, this is the satisfaction, 20%. So technically, if you want to actually compare, this is 20% of the market. Now, 80% is this exactly is the vacuum, but the gray area, which is recording satisfaction for brand A. Now let us take a brand B. Brand B, 100% of the market, only 40% are aware. Here you must see 80% were aware, but only here 40% are aware. So only this much. So 60% are not aware about this product. Out of this 40%, 70% did not try, only 30% tried. Here what happens, out of 80%, 60% tried, but here out of 40%, only 30% tried. And this is the green area we did not try. So technically out of this, 80% were satisfied and only 20% were dissatisfied. So you technically see both the satisfaction level is 20%, where only 80% were aware and here only 40%. So technically what you can say is this goods is not good. Brand A is not good, but brand B is good. But here the problem is that awareness was not there in the market. If the awareness was there, so advertising should have been done. If advertising was done, then its job would have been, this figure would have just gone up. And here advertising was done, but the product was not good. So technically people were equally satisfied. That is only 20% satisfaction was there. So this is how measuring communication result happens for different brands. So you have to decide on the basis of these figures, what is the type of mix that you have to do and at what point you have to take this into account. So coming down to marketing integrated, managing the integrated marketing communication, planning process, which is designed to assure that all brands contacts received by a consumer or prospect for a product, service or organization are relevant to the person and are consistent over time. And this is exactly what is meant by integrated marketing communication. So coordinating media and implementing IMC, how do you do that? How do you implement it? You look at the coverage, contribution, the commonalities, what are the complementarities, that is what goes along with this, how does it confirm, and what exactly is the cost. So this exactly goes into designing the integrated marketing communication. So with this, we come to an end of this session for integrated marketing communication. Let me take you to a quick recap of what we have covered in the context. We started our session with marketing communication. What is the role of marketing communication? The fourth P of marketing mix. We talked about the different levels of marketing mix, the different categories of marketing, 8 of them to be precise, starting with advertising and ending with personal selling. We talked about the 8 common communication platforms and where exactly they are used best and what exactly are their subsections. What are the categories of advertising, where they are used: sales promotion, events, public relations, online, social media marketing, mobile marketing, direct and database marketing, and personal selling. So where exactly they are best used, we talked about. Then how does marketing communication work? The macro model and the micro model of consumer response. We talked about the macro model, that is the entire process of the communication process. And then we talked about the micro model, which is all about the response hierarchy models. We talked about the 3 stages, that is cognitive, affective, and behavioral stages, and the different models, that is starting from the IDAS model, hierarchy of effect model, innovation and communication model. We looked into the micro model, what with an ideal ad campaign, how exactly consumer is exposed to the message at the right place and time, which ad causes the consumer to pay attention, reflecting the consumer's level of understanding of brand, the ad positions point of difference and point of similarity, the ad motivates consumers to consider purchase, and the ad creates a strong brand association. We also talked about developing an effective communication, that is identifying the target audience, determining objectives, designing communications, selecting channel, establishing budget, deciding the media mix, measuring the results, and managing the integrated marketing communication. Towards developing an effective communication, we looked into identifying select audience and setting the communication objectives. We also decided the communication design by messaging strategy, creative strategy, and message source. Towards creative strategy, we looked at 2 types of appeals: innovation, information appeal, and transformation appeal. That is one-sided versus two-sided arguments, or negative fear versus positive appeal. We also looked into the believability aspect, which exactly is what the message delivers by attractive or popular source, achieving a higher attention and recall. Towards effectively developing a communication, we looked into personal communication channels and non-personal communication channels. Towards establishing the marketing association budget, we saw the four methods: affordable, percentage of sales method, competitive parity, and objective sales methods. And then we looked into the objective task method. Finally, towards marketing the communication mix characteristics, we saw the different type of marketing mix and what they basically had their USPs. We also looked into the events and experience, public relations as advertising and sales promotion, online, social media, and mobile marketing with their characteristics. Towards setting the marketing communication mix, we looked into the types of product markets, which is consumer versus business, or advertising, sales promotion versus personal selling. Product life cycle stage plays a very vital role towards selecting the right communication mix for the different levels of consumers' stages of readiness, buying readiness stage. That is whether it's in the awareness, comprehension, conviction, order, or reorder level. And then finally, we compared the results on the basis of comparing two different brands for the total market, their awareness, or whether they tried the product, or whether they were satisfied or they were dissatisfied. Finally, managing the integrated marketing communication, which is a planning process designed to ensure that all brand contacts received by a consumer or customer or prospect for a product, service, or organizations are relevant for that person and consistent over a period of time. Towards finally coordinating the media and implementing IMC, we looked into coverage, contribution, commonality, complementarity, confirmability, coverage, cost, and coverage, which are the 6 C's. So with this, I think we have come to an end of integrated marketing communication per se, and we will close the session. It's about 10:30, the time for winding up. If you have any sort of a query, I would like to take your query. Please feel free to speak up. So we have covered the aspect of place dimension of marketing mix, and which is exactly the 5th unit, as well as the aspect associated with managing personal communication. Now, there is integrated marketing communication, which exactly you will find in the books, that exactly the ebook that I have already provided you in the social media platform, that is WhatsApp group that we have created for marketing. You can please refer to your notes and write-ups, as well as it would have made a lot of sense because of the type of project that you all have done. The excellent projects, I'm evaluating the projects. You've done a wonderful job of the assignment that all of you have presented and sent it over to me. I'm really very, very satisfied with the type of work that you've done. You've done a very thorough work. I think there are certain repeat projects which exactly are there. But then leaving aside a few outliers, I would like to say that generally the majority of the work has been excellent and par, and I'm very, very satisfied with the type of work that you all have produced and would have added to what we exactly have done. So it would have given you a richer understanding of the context that we are trying to do. I know we had the challenge of trying to deliver all this online. Had it been an offline sort of a situation, we would have had a more interesting interaction. I tried from my level best to try to give you whatever best I could with whatever little resources that we had, or whatever challenged resources that we had. But then I must really compliment and congratulate all and every one of you for trying to be such a good set of students who were so diligent and religiously present for all the sessions, and they carried on all the activities. And that exactly is something from my side. If you have any sort of a query, feel free to speak up. Yes, over to all of you. We have short the time by around 2 minutes, so feel free to speak up. If you have nothing to add, then we can call it for the day.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mohit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for being for this session. And thank you very much, Atik and Osama, for helping me out with the attendance